Welcome back to the Unconquered Podcast, X's and O's film session. We are going to be looking at another win for Florida State, so a little bit more pleasant today than oftentimes. Going to be looking at the condensed version and breaking this down. Sorry for those who normally would be in the live streaming version, but I upgraded my studio computer to Mac OS Catalina and didn't realize that it didn't work for the streaming software that I use. So I currently do not have a good streaming solution for the present. That should be fixed here soon. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Coming in, we knew that Syracuse had the worst offensive line in the ACC. I think even worse than Georgia Tech's, and that this would basically boil down to a game where Florida State needed to dominate up front, and that's what we saw. You can see right here, they're trying to block Durden with a tight end. He gets pressure. And take a look at Marvin Wilson here. Gets blocked, recognizes what's going on in terms of the rollout, and then first play of the game, Wilson turns him, shares the sack. That's really good play by Wilson and Nasir Al-Din and Janarius also there. So once you get them off schedule, they're not really able to do much. So let's go ahead and get to the offensive side. After a couple runs, 3rd and 5, and now you get Hornibrook, who was the starter in this one. Pretty good throw there, and it's not one that Blackman doesn't make, but I'll live with this. If you can get this from Hornibrook this week against Miami, then you're okay. I mean, it doesn't get there very well. I mean, in terms of very quickly, but he does anticipate it, and then the location is good on the outside shoulder. Good first down there. Solid throw. Get a penalty. 1st and 15, and this is a play that. This should have been a touchdown. This is just a little double move. To Terry. And you can see this is well underthrown. If he puts this ball out there at all, I mean, this ball should be caught right around the 25. If he puts that ball out there at all, that's an easy touchdown for Terry. He just runs away. Instead, comes up about 25 yards short. Frustrating as a receiver, but pretty good. Pretty good play from the offense anyway. He did take a hit on that play, but again, you got to get that out much further down the field. And here you've got Akers. He's a pretty good player. Gets hit in the backfield. Take a look at what you got offensively here. You got really good defensive ends. You don't normally want your defensive end to spin on the run, but he does it. Ultimately turns this back inside, and this is an NFL defensive end who misses the tackle there, bounces right off Akers, and, well, the guy's pretty good. Take a look at this play by Gaynor here on the edge. So they're running a little field reduction here, so he's going to actually come into the B gap here. He normally would be in the C gap outside the tackle, but with the insert here, you're running a little slant there. He takes on the offensive guard and then inside out runs that down. That's football, man. That is really good. But, man, they cannot block at all. Look at this. I mean, the Syracuse is a disaster offensively. They actually managed to get everybody blocked on this one, so get a throw out there, but they don't have the receivers to get separation. Good play by, I believe that's Stanford Samuels there. So yeah, this is an overload formation here. This is unbalanced if you didn't notice as the game was being played. But you've got an ineligible receiver here. That's McDonald. And the idea here is that you crash down and you can help on that big end. And McDonald actually handles the end by himself, and then they pull the tackle and the guard. Guard comes out guard doesn't pull. Guard just gets out enough to make sure that the defensive tackle can't get there. Then you pull the tackle, and you got a lead, and then that's just, I mean, Akers is cruising into the secondary there. Play action here. A little messy pocket. This is a throw where give him credit because he actually made the throw, but you got one-on-one coverage here with a huge cushion on first down, and just get it out there. And that's a ball that if you get it there a little earlier, he's got time to make somebody miss out there. Still decent, still a good first down, but that's one where against tighter coverage, you're not going to have you're not going to have that as easy. Akers once again. What is encouraging to me here, watch the left tackle. So you have Lucas in his first game at left guard. Watch the left tackle, though, and Lucas work their way up. Lucas should not be getting off of this block here. That should be, he needs to hold that long enough to be able to work forward here. This is Lucas right here. That defensive tackle comes free because the double here between the center and the guard, they're not tight enough. That's a combo, and it's ultimately supposed to be the center's block, but it's Lucas's job to work him over to the center before releasing up. And you want to see that tackle push his hips, get your hand on his hip there just a little bit more as you climb. But here's what I like. Look at what happens when you get to the second level. Washington and Lucas get that combo there, and that's ultimately what makes the space here. Good job by McDonald, and then this right here, they walk the linebacker all the way back into the end zone. Good job by Washington. Good job by Lucas once he got to the second level. Would have liked a little bit better at the first level, but look right here. That's good. You want to see that. Not bad. One of many sacks. And this is just a situation where they timed the snap count well, and you can see Robert Cooper. That's walking the center right back to the quarterback. That's that's not Cooper. That's who is that? Oh yeah, that is Cooper. Okay, yeah. That's something. Offensively, they have no ability to block, and if you can't block, we've seen it's hard to play offense. So here we see the wild cam for the first time on this compressed video, and you see this is right after the first play with the wild cam. They cut one of them out, but Cam Akers at quarterback, and this is a throw that he can make, actually better in some ways than either of the quarterbacks that they have now. And that sets up a double pass because Kalon can throw two now. But all you're trying to do, and what they're doing as soon as they see that this is wild cam, is they're bringing as many as they can. They're rushing hard. Well, now you get the edge, and this becomes a pretty good play out here because you got to commit so much to the run. And what teams are going to do eventually here, what Miami will do, for example, Hornibrook's out here. You're going to have to keep somebody over him, but this safety is going to be down here. That's going to be the difference, is that you're going to have a safety that's going to be maybe in here, maybe down here. He's going to be in the box. That's what you're going to have, because nobody's going to believe that you're going to do anything with Hornibrook out here in terms of down the field or anything like that. And you put Blackman there, it's the same thing. You're not going to have to put a second safety over here. That's the adjustment that they'll make, is they'll pull maybe a backer just a little bit further out here and rotate that safety down. So that's what we'll expect. And then you get the 4. Basically, that turns into a 4-3 against, so that's 7 in the box against your 5 and 1. So that takes away your numbers advantage. Now, other things that teams will do is you might, if you have this kind of setup, what the true wildcat, where you'll end up having some sort of jet sweep action, they'll blitz the backside of that, and that takes it. They'll corner blitz the backside of that, and that's kind of what killed it in the NFL. Anyway, LeBourne looked good in this game. He's really hit his stride the last couple weeks. Once again, same basic thing, and this time you notice they're already rotating that safety down just a little bit. So there's no real reason to expect anything else in the future. But here's the thing. If you're going to put a 4-3 here and you're going to go 3 over 4, this is still a big advantage for the defense, or for the offense, because you got 3 blockers and there's no extra guy. So if you're going to do this, you need to rotate that extra backer into the alley here, so that you can play, contain, and force back into the alley, and he becomes the tackler against the extra player out here. And this is just a double team at the point of attack to make sure you get your full yardage. If they'd been able to combo that and work your way up, then he's able to get to the first down and beyond without ever getting touched. So here you got a 3rd and 4. Hornibrook does a good job getting that ball out on time, making the right read as the backer sinks. When that backer sinks and you get the blitz of these 2 backers, the way I always told my quarterback when talking about this kind of blitz is, if the toilet flushes, throw it right up the bowl. When you see that flush come right here, that's the right play. But Hornibrook has had a real problem leading. This is one of the weaknesses that he seems to have. Some guys have a knack, have an instinct for how to lead a player, how to throw, not where he is, but where he's going. And some quarterbacks have a little harder time with that. It's just not having the imagination, the mental imagination, to be able to see where that ball needs to be. And Hornibrook, to me, is one of those guys who just doesn't really anticipate where a guy's going to be as well. He often seems to throw behind, or also when he's underthrowing, I don't think it's always about a weaker arm. I think he's throwing still kind of where he envisions the guy will be, but he's always kind of behind in his vision where that guy's ultimately going to be. And that really hurts you, especially on these little crosses and slants. This is a route that's got to be complete. It was a near interception, actually. If this is not broken up just like it is by Neighbors, that might be a pick. But this is a really poor throw. Out on time, poor throw, partly because look at his base. He's too relaxed in the drop and throwing off that back foot. See that? So some of the mechanics are the problem. You need to have a little more urgency with that step and get that foot in the ground and drive instead of driving back. And that's a poor throw. So 4th and 4. Throwing it away. Good job by Syracuse recognizing that Florida State's run this look with the little H-back across. But the thing is, as much as they're able to anticipate this is an RPO. Every time Florida State has run this, and I've talked about this multiple times in the film sessions, that this is an RPO where when they're sneaking this guy out across, Hornibrook is supposed to be reading what's going on here, and you see his head. He should be checking out. This is out. He's got a chance here. Just hand it off. If he hands this off, this might have scored, because they're expecting this to come out that way. That's why you've got two backers trying to take that away. If he just hands this ball off, it's probably a touchdown. Akers probably scores here. But bad decision by Hornibrook. Ultimately has to throw it away. Good anticipation by Syracuse's defenders on that side. But he's got to make the right read. Third and 2. They actually had a little bit of leverage here. Florida State brings 4. Managed to get a pass break up here. Nice job by Durden getting his hands up. Probably should have been intercepted, but so out of the end zone. Bold to make that throw out of the end zone. I mean, really. Little screen, and the thing is, he's stumbling here. If he catches this and falls, that's a safety. But that's a ballsy call. 3rd and 11 to run a screenplay out of your own end zone. Yikes. Pretty good punt. Excellent coverage from Stanford Samuels, who had a very good game in this. This actually was a bad call, I thought. So it looked bad because he's getting ready to go airborne, but he completely gets blocked into the punter. That's a wreck. You should not call that because he got blocked into him. That should be a no call, but it is what it is. So Syracuse gets their first down. And this is one of 2 occasions in this game where Gant, who those of you who remember my scouting videos of the recruiting class, remember he's one of my favorite prospects in this class, and you can see why here because of the burst through. But son, break down and make the tackle. I mean, this, I'm not even sure what that was. I mean, he made him step up, and so ultimately. The rest of them cleaned up for him, but later on there's one that's even worse, and he's got to you're gonna have to break down and make the play in the pocket. You've got to be ready for the quarterback to not be in exactly the same spot he is when you're coming down the chute. This is a really good play by McKitty. One of the first times he's actually broken a tackle this year, and this is taking advantage of teams starting to anticipate what's going on in the backside of these jet sweep things, and also taking advantage of Syracuse's ends. They're really good ends. They're going to get after the quarterback. Go ahead and let him up the field. Oh, and there you go. Now that's a bad effort by Syracuse by that future NFL end in terms of making the tackle there, but. All in all, it's a quality play by McKitty. Hasn't gotten a whole lot of opportunities this year because he's had to be in the backfield as a blocker so much, but they're using him on that little sneak out there on the tight end screen. That's one I might have wanted to save for Miami, but and then things are much easier. I mean, Hornibrook knows things are much easier when you're able to run the football. And man, Akers can make some of this stuff look easy. Not bad here. They in terms of blocking, and that I think is the play that Lucas went down. Yeah, you see balls on Brady Scott's on the field now, not ball. Now I don't like. So I know that they're trying to get the ball to Terry as much as they can. I don't like giving the ball to Terry on these reverses and so on. I mean, it's there's so much change of direction and that sort of thing that ultimately I just don't think he's the guy to do this. he's made some big plays with some change of direction in the open field, but I think this is just not where you want him. And I'd rather have a Harrison or somebody like that take this play, or Matthews. But pretty good job by their backside end, who again is a really good player. More screen pass. And you'll notice that so far, 4 of Hornibrook's completions have been on these little screens. They're starting to get used to them here. Pretty good play here. And this is where I actually think Akers got a little nicked. If you watch the tackle here, he kind of gets landed on that back foot, and I think that's why he eventually went to the tent. I know it was much later, but... So 3rd and 8 here, and they're in quarters here. No, they're rotating to 3. So they're rotating to 3. So he's out. He's up. He's got to get to the flat. This is on the nickel back. That's on Samuel for not getting out there early enough. Got caught up on the underneath player. Good job by Syracuse scheming that. Rotating to cover 3 there. Hey, they actually had positive rushing yards there for a second. That's got to be a tackle by... Who is that? That's Janarius. And again, the problem is not missing the tackle as much as it is the angle. He's got to recognize that he should be coming down just a little flatter and make an impact there close to the marker instead of what you see there. Hamza with 1 of 17 tackles in this game, but yeah, that's just not good enough. Did a lot of these little sprint outs, knowing that Florida State likes to bail with that corner, trying to throw underneath that. Not a whole lot of chance to do much there. Skipped forward just a little too far. There we go. One of the few times their defense actually stood up here. And you can see also that there was a drop-off when Lucas went out. So Brady Scott's on the field. He's not the one that gets beat here, but ultimately the penetration comes, again, on the combo block between Minshew and Baselli. Baselli doesn't have the right angle here. Allows a little bit of penetration. And it looks to me like Akers might have missed a lane a little bit there, because if he hits this there, Baselli is actually in position to make this work, but he's trying to hit it vertical, recognizes, oh, that's not there. If he's able to hit this right up this seam, I think he's actually got positive yardage here, but he doesn't quite hit the seam. So here we've got Hornibrook's going to get sacked, and this is where, they did a good job here scheming against the offensive tackle, the young tackle. And ultimately, this is one of the reasons why Washington is going to be long-term a right tackle. They need to get a left tackle who moves just a little better, but they slanted the whole defensive line, and he's not expecting the nickel here. He's got to recognize that when this guy disappears inside, he's got to get outside, and Hornibrook, that's not on him. That's on the tackle. It's also on Akers, actually. When I look at this from the backside, this has got to be a double read for Akers. He's reading inside out, and he's got to get to that and help just a little bit better. It's hard to do because he's getting across, but you got to find a way. Excuse me. You got to find a way to sell out and protect your quarterback there as the back. Get your hands on him. so that doesn't happen. And this is a situation where I'm not sure why you're deciding to block their defensive end with your H-back, but you're pretty fortunate that this is not a safety as a result. And even with that slide left, this is really bad. You've got a double team from the guard and from the right tackle here, and the defensive tackle just runs right between them. I mean, that's really, really bad. This right here, you got two guys blocking him. That's inexcusable. And Akers has to get out there to help a little bit more on the end, but this is so bad. And I'm not sure what Minshew's looking for as he puts that hand out. Because everybody's slanting, you've got to work back to the guy that you're doubling with. Just to me, that's not very good. And a lot of that is just new guys playing next to each other, not knowing how to work with each other. That's one of the hard parts of playing offensive line. Is you have to kind of be able to communicate without a whole lot of help there from without a whole lot of spoken communication with your fellow offensive tackle and offensive guard. That's a good play by Samuels. I'd like it if he didn't have more to bark there, but good play. So this is actually designed as a double pass, and you can see that Syracuse, here's where the two teams are so they run the same stuff, and they know what they run. So when he throws this, notice the backside pursuit does a good job of his job. This end's job is to make sure that he's deeper than the deepest so that this can't come back. That's outstanding. And you don't expect this. Akers is looking forward, and then he goes, oh, and Akers does a good job of recognizing, like, wait a second, he's covering my guy, and then decides to run back and get it back to Hornibrook, who, on being covered, just kind of gets back further, and then he makes the throw. It's a poor throw, but he gets it out of there, gets it to Terry, and this very nearly scores. It's a nice little trick play. It's a well-designed play, but even better execution on the defense to try to take that away. Again, his job is to be contained. Don't let it come back. He did his job. And what are you supposed to be doing? I mean, this is where you're trying to get the play. See, it's supposed to go here, come back, and then you've got a go, and then you've got the little screen out here. Nothing's there. And so then, just get it to Terry. Hey. You'll take it. Sometimes better to be lucky than good. And this is an example of Akers just being a beast. Most running backs do not get the first down after this. And this is Terry just slowing down. That's him, this is him maybe being a little gassed, but see him starting to slow down as that ball gets snapped. You got to get through there as the receiver. Akers still gets the first down, and they need to continue doing more of this. What do you have here? You got more wild cam. And again, with this situation, you've got Hornibrook in the slot, so they're going to have to actually cover out wider on both sides and then turn this into a foot race to the edge. Pretty good block by Hornibrook there. Give the man some credit. Helmet sticker. Right there. Not bad. Takes out his guy. Akers dives to the pylon. You'll take that. And now they go for two because of the missed extra point earlier. And this is a nice little design here. This is something Clemson loves to do. You've got the toss, and you can toss this. If it's there, you read this. This can be a toss, but it's toss with power coming back. So the toss action makes it really tough because you're sealing the edge, you're doing all that stuff out here, and the backers have to honor that toss instead of flowing to the power, and that makes that a walk-in for Akers. This is one that I expect to see some against Miami. You get them out there with that toss and then power on the backside, and that gets really tough on a defense. You put both of those players out there, and Miami might even have some trouble with that one, even though they're much better defensively than Syracuse. Nice little design here, little shovel. Now, when you're FSU, now they've got some young guys on the field here. This is where you can see a little bit of the difference. He's got to recognize this, and actually he hits this blocker just wrong. You can't just take on the blocker here. You got to keep your outside arm free and force this back to your help. You cannot let him outside here. This has to go back inside and then force that back to your help, and you might get a tackle from the trail. The other thing is that you've got to recognize what's going on here as the edge guy. Just a little too much taking the cheese from Gaynor. Nice play, though. Nicely designed play. So now we get to the third quarter after some mismanagement there at the end by Syracuse coaching staff. And you get more wild cam with LeBourne. And on this one, you just have basically this is just zone read. And Akers makes the right decision and stays out for Akers. Turn that into a run for LeBourne. And again, look at how Syracuse has adjusted to this. They've got to put three guys out there for those three. They've got a safety here. They didn't adjust. This safety should not be here. That's a mistake. That safety should be down in here. You cannot honor that quarterback. This is a mistake by Syracuse's defensive coordinator. He's got to be down here. And then you can do what you want up here. But the reason that this turns into a bigger play is because they're one short. The safety's not where he should be, and LeBourne has a running lane. Miami will not make that mistake. See, that safety should not be there. More wild cam. Now, out of this, the same play out of this look, you got the double wing backs, toss, power to the backside. Cam didn't even read that especially well because I think the cutback, I think the proper place to go would have been off the butt here, but manages to turn it up and, well, power wins. Another good play. Cam's having a good time. Good job blocking by McKitty there. He's actually become a reliable blocker in this game, or in this year. Not bad off the edge here from Janarius. All they're doing, this is basically your 4-3 type look, just with the three defensive tackles. Durden needs to squeeze this a little better when he recognizes it. Can't give him that much of a run lane. Better team's going to take advantage of that, but really good chase down from behind by Janarius. Couple things to point out on this. So you have 1st and 15. Now you get the jet action, and Hornibrook does a really good job. I mean, this should have been a sack. They didn't block the end. They're relying on the idea that he's going to try to chase that down, I guess. Yeah, that's what they're doing. They're relying on the since you got the blitz on this backside, he's going to be unblocked, and they're relying on that jet fake. Now Hornibrook does a tremendous job of breaking that, and that's give him the credit there. Now what's hilarious? Watch the backside. Oh, please throw it back. No, there's no way. He doesn't have the eyes in the back of his head. But Hornibrook actually manages to outrun the defensive end for about 14, 15 yards and almost got a first down there. That's pretty good. Not a total statue. Good job sliding up in the pocket. And no, that's nowhere close. Starting to see the young guys now, and this is good. So you notice who's on the field. You've got 49. You got Wood there. You've got True Thompson there. You've got Briggs right there, and then McClendon is the guy who gets in and makes the tackle. That's both McClendon and Gant. And Gant has really, they've been playing him as actually less of a safety and more of an edge in their small defensive personnel. And, he's so physical that he can do that. But anyways, you can see they got a little blitz on the backside. This should have been, I don't know if this was a read, but if this was a read, this should have gone out there. I think they probably didn't have a read on, but they'd have been able to get the ball on the edge here one-on-one. Would have been a better situation because Florida State had that blitz on. But really good job by McClendon, who I like every time I see him on the field. Again, right here. And this is one of the things I really like about McClendon. Watch him when so first of all, he could have a little bit better first step. He's got a little bit of a false step there. But it's when he reads pass. Watch this little burst right there. That's a good sign. And then the next thing is watch him bend right there. You see him put that shoulder down below the offensive tackle, and he dips those hips so low and then is able to actually bend that edge a little bit. It's a pretty good job by the tackle, but the ability to get low like that and gain some leverage and try to turn that corner, that's gonna be a good thing for the future. So it looks like he's, again, I've said this before, but it looks like he's going to be a recruiting hit because he's definitely not looking like a bust. Now, otherwise, up front, you'd like to see somebody getting just a little bit more penetration here. And yeah, you're two-gapping a little bit. But Briggs needs to recognize that that's a pass and get up the field a little bit more into the backfield. And this is just a little bit of misfortune and also not bringing your arms to the party. Tackling the wrong guy here, actually, from Durden. Doesn't quite get there. It's pretty good by Cooper, although you don't want to see him spin. And the back just kind of gets caught, gets a little bit lucky. Take a look at this technique by Stanford Samuels. They're in just red zone, red 8, I guess is what they would call it in their system. So cover 4 in the red zone, and that gives Samuels the ability to kind of play over top while looking back, and you're just not going to complete that on him there. Good play. He wants the interference because the push off receiver actually had his shoulder pads, had him by the plates. I pardon you. I pardon you. I'll tell you what, the place where 42 is at his best, he's the best blitzer on this team. He really does a good job of making himself small through space and then getting to the quarterback when he's blitzing. Hamsa's maybe a little better, but he's the best linebacker blitzer on the team. This is risky. So you got mesh here. And once again, so you got, these two running at, the 1 and 2 yard little shallow crosses, and he chooses the wrong one. If he puts this on Terry, it's probably a touchdown. Question is, he gets it to 87 here, but throws it once again. He throws it behind him and a little low. That's a really good catch. And when you're reading this, you should be noticing. So he's reading outside in here. So he just decided to read that side. So he's checking the wheel. Wheel's not there. He comes inside now. Thing is, when you see this guy running with him still, you should be coming here to Terry. This probably scores if you hit Terry. Still not bad with getting the conversion, but could have been better. Another really good screen call. And again, a lot of the most successful plays that they had in this game were on screens in the passing game. Didn't get a whole lot other than that. This is one that Harrison has to come down with. Just didn't track it well. Technique was fine. He left himself plenty of space out there. He's in good shape. Just didn't make the catch. Wild cam. 4th and 2. Correct read. Get that to LeBourne. Although this would have been a first down either way, because if Cam's taking this right now, well, actually no, they missed a block up front. What is going on? Just letting that tackle go. Or letting that end go, that is. Yeah, they're waiting on that to be Brady Scott, but Scott's actually got to get hold of him there. And once again, this is just super easy because their run defense, their tackles aren't very good. They managed to stunt their way out of the gap here. And again, you're in wild cam. You've got LeBourne right here, so now you've got to honor that up top. They did a better job in terms of spacing. You don't have an extraneous safety here. But because they're blitzing off the edge and they stunt there, this turns into a very easy zone play. Inside zone, and he very nearly houses this. He wanted that. They just stunted their way right out of this. Nice block by Gabe Neighbors. Got to score there. And once again, what do? They're relying on the screen with Hornibrook on there. That's a lot of screen passes. What is that, 7 or 8 now? LeBourne gets the touchdown. Nice push from the offensive line here. Again, paying attention to the left tackle against an NFL defensive end. Future NFL defensive end. Freshman does a decent job. Not bad. Right here. That's the one I want to pay attention to because that's the future. That's going to matter. It's good stuff. As far as what you got here, nice little double. They got it right there. Now, how much does Minshew weigh at this point? Good Lord. That's a big boy. Getting toward the end of this breakdown. Not much more to see from here. We'll start breaking down some of the young guys on defense where that's viable. Starting to see some of the youngsters in at corner. Pretty good from Green here. I would have liked to have seen the young backers on the field at this point. There's not a whole lot of benefit to having 56 out there, for example, at this point. And there's certainly no benefit to having 28 out there. Once again, now I understand putting your starters back in for the end of this drive because you're trying to make sure that they don't score. Cooper just runs right through the block there. That's what a fresh Cooper looks like at this point in the game. Get to the fourth quarter here, 3rd and 10 to start. Same thing Florida State's used to seeing from their own offense, and that's just not good enough. Poor job of matching here. Recognize what's going on. That's on 26. That's on Samuel. He's got to recognize the in-call, out-call, and you got to match that. You got to get to the outside. He should be on the catch right here. Samuel should be right here and coming up through the outside leg. Instead, he got stuck trying to communicate to the in. He's got to pass that off to Hamza, and just not a good enough job. Again, it's got to be better. That's really good by a corner. The insert here. Got to give it to Stanford Samuels. This is one of his better games right here. But you see him stepping up and making the tackle there. That's pretty good. First and goal nonetheless. That's less good by everybody involved. That one hurt. If you watch the contact right here, that one, those two guys hit helmets. That's one where that burns a little bit. That's a heck of a move by LeBourne. So right here, this is a drive where I would like to have seen some of the younger linemen, a couple of the younger linemen. You're up by 25. If you're not doing it on this drive, I certainly would have liked to have seen it on the next one. I can understand not doing it on this one, but they needed to get more. They needed to get him more time. But this right here, that's this is filthy. That move right there is so filthy. LeBourne's burst is really good when it comes to that stuff. Doesn't have the second gear that Akers does, but man, he's got some other stuff going for him. Now this is where, protection-wise, now notice they've also got Smith here as another freshman at guard. So that was one of the other things I wanted to see was some of the younger guys there. That they've got Smith in there at guard. This is where Blackman should have taken this throw right here. Throw it low. Oh, I see why he didn't. Never mind. Nope, that's the right decision. I was wrong on that one. Okay, here's another example of Gant. The burst is there, but son, break down. You want to actually come through on this. When you're coming through the B gap here, you actually want to aim at the front side shoulder rather than the back side, because your angle is such that even if he spins out to the back side, you're going to get a good shot at him. If you're coming from the back angle, you got to aim at the backside shoulder. If you're coming more from the front, you really want to aim at the one right here. He's aimed at more or less at the back shoulder here. That's his angle. And that's just, This is almost comical how quickly he flies by. And that should have been a sack. Now, I don't know why you still have some of the starters out here with Janarius, with... Who is that? Yeah, you still got Cooper in there. I don't like that, but... And I don't like 26 being out there at this point. At least you've got 42. You've got the young middle linebacker out there. But to me, this is what an acting job here. Let's take a look. You've just got a basic 4-man rush. And they just never block Briggs. And Briggs actually needs to make this an easier sack, but this right here by Hamza, that's terrific. That's an Academy Award right there. And once again, on the blitz, Gant comes through sliding. Now, the thing is, you got to recognize if the quarterback's retreating like this, you got to get around and get back to the screen right away. Gant doesn't recognize this. That's something they'll cover in film. But here's what I do like to see. The young guy here blitzing, he sees that he is let go, and he makes the tackle. That's really good from the young linebacker. Still like to see him not swing him forward, but overall, that's quality play. Once again, Gant basically playing linebacker here. Now this one is, let's see. Yeah, this one is on the young freshman Mike Backer here, and you want to know why he's not playing more right now? It's this stuff. When he's not blitzing, you cannot let yourself get caught up there. He's got to hit this and keep that outside arm free to close that gap down. But he's too easily blocked. The freshmen in general too easily blocked. And see, he needs to be coming down hard here, and that's his gap. He's under control, but you've got to hit this so that you're forcing this back to this gap so that you're forcing it back into the defensive tackle. But he allows that outside arm to get caught up a little bit. That outside hip needs to be right there so that you reset. You got to get right here and then angle this back into the guard. So as the guard steps out, you got to get outside the guard, work your way out, and then come back in and shock inside so that you can make the tackle in that gap. But he's still coming outside and allows himself to get held up. Once again, not good enough from the linebackers, and that was one where upstairs I'm sure they made the substitution because 42 missed his assignment, and then promptly it's just as bad or worse from Warner here. This is really bad. You got to fit your gap and get downhill now, and I'm not sure what he's doing, but this is a very unathletic play. He's not in the right spot, and it's an unathletic play. They got the starters still in, but at this point, some of those guys up front aren't really interested. You can see that. The effort level from some of these guys is not the same. Who was that? So this is a drive where, yeah, you still have Smith in it, or is that Scott? That's Scott at guard. I don't know why you don't have Smith in at guard again, and they should have Neal in at tackle. There's not much benefit, and I don't know why you don't have Jordan Travis in at quarterback. There's just not much benefit at this point to running with some of the guys you've got out there. But this guy made a play. Little preview of Abusement Park for next year. He's played about as much as I expected. You heard a lot of people preseason talking about how you'd see a lot of him and Warren Thompson this year, but those are going to be guys next year. And no, I don't know the whole story on Warren Thompson. My expectation is that he was probably suspended from this game for what he said on social media. I haven't talked to anybody about it, though. Deontay Sheffield getting a carry here. And now you've got Smith on the field. Smith is a guy I really like his potential. Nice flat back. I think he's going to be a really good player inside next year, even might be as early as next year. He's going to be a nice player here. And then you get Neal here on the edge. Finally get to see a little bit of the young line, but only one play. And they do a good job of getting a little bit of penetration from the backside. That's still an NFL end. And he chases this down. Get a missed block, actually, here from the H-back that sinks this. This is good linebacker play right there. Both the receiver and the H-back. You want to see why Abusement Park isn't playing as much. He's got a crack back here. That's really soft. If he makes that block, this hits the edge, probably scores. But this is what, when young guys do this is why you don't play. That's super soft. Well, that'll do it for us here one more time on the Unconquered Podcast X's and O's film session. Hopefully next week we'll be able to spend a good bit of time. Might even do multiple film sessions on Miami if it's a good result, because that's one that is worth celebrating if it's a good result. So we'll see what happens, but as always, thanks for your support. Hopefully this was worthwhile taking a look at, especially some of the young guys at the end. And we'll see you back again next week.